Hello everyone. This particular line plot shows what happened to the SP500 index price over the past 51 years in terms of trends in increase or decrease of the index price. Whenever you want to invest some amount of money into any kind of stock, you would want to perform future prediction analysis, which will show you futuristic trends of increase or decrease in the stock price that will give you some amount of confidence in your investment. In order to perform future prediction analysis, you would always need the data from the past years for that particular stock. That is exactly what we are going to do next in our analysis of SP500 dataset. We are going to use the choices function within the random module to generate random simulations in order to predict the future trend of SP500 index price. We are going to take two-step approach for solving this problem. Step number one is going to be about running simulations by randomly selecting past year information from the SP500 index price dataset. Let me get started with step one by defining a function called run underscore sim. This particular function is going to have the first configured parameter as years. This parameter represents the number of years that we want to randomly pick from the past information available as part of the SP500 dataset. Let me configure a default value for this parameter as 10. The first step is going to be about invoking choices function within the random module. Recall that the choices function takes as the first argument the list of values from which you want to make random choices. Also recall that you're performing sampling with replacement when you're invoking choices function. So what do we want our list of values to be in this particular case? We want that information from the return column of our data frame df. Instead of passing a list as the first argument, you could also pass a series. So I'm simply going to extract the return column series by specifying df of return. We're just going to use the randomly selected past 10 years values for the return column in order to be able to generate a random simulation. Recall that we'll have to pass argument to the k parameter that is going to indicate how many random choices you want to make out of this pool of choices. For this particular case, that's going to come from the parameter years. So I'm simply going to say k equal to years here. The choices function is going to return a list of random choices from the first argument over here. We can capture that list into a variable. I'm going to define that variable as rand underscore returns. Recall that it is very easy for you to create a series from a list of values. You can just invoke the series constructor function call and pass rand underscore returns reference as an argument to the constructor function call. Let me capture the return value from the series constructor, which is going to be a series object instance reference, into the same variable rand underscore returns over here. I'm going to go ahead and return rand underscore returns. Let's invoke run underscore sim function. I'm not going to pass any arguments because I want to use the default value. Let me execute this cell. Observe that in the 10th year, you ended up with a gain because you're seeing the number here for the return as 1.2. Let me execute the cell a couple of times here. If you go through enough number of random simulations, you'll end up with a loss in the 10th year, which is the case with this particular example because you're getting 0.9557 for the last value within the series. What are we going to do next is we are going to define another parameter called starting, which is going to store the initial investment amount. Let me use the default value for the parameter as $1,000. Recall that we have been using the cumulative product function within a pandas series in order to compute the total returns that you can get out of multiple years of investment. We are going to repeat that step for the randomly chosen past 10-year values. I'm going to compute the cumulative product for the values within the series rand underscore returns by typing rand underscore returns dot cumprod open parenthesis close parenthesis. Recall that the cumulative product function returns a brand new series object instance, so you'll be able to use that particular series to apply the multiplication operator element wise in order to multiply each of the values within the series by the initial investment amount scalar, which is going to be starting here. We are going to get another series object instance after applying the multiplication operator element wise. Let me capture that back to the same variable, which is going to be rand underscore returns over here. Observe that in this particular random simulation of the past 10 years, which are randomly picked from the previous 51-year data set, you end up with a gain of around $1,574. So that's why you end up with an amount of 2574 after 10 years of investment. I'll wrap up this video here. In the next video, we are going to go through step 2, which is going to be about taking the function from step 1 and running hundreds of simulations in order to explore the range of outcomes to predict the future trend of SP500 index price.